Through March 25th, we are in the heart of spring break. What has general demand for travel looked like this season?
Well, demand has remained consistent and generally healthy. When you look around the world, Asia in particular is very strong right now. They were the last to rebound coming out of the pandemic, and really last year and this year is their year. And many U.S. travelers are making their way to Asia, especially in 2024. Europe remains stable, and the U.S. has really settled more into a traditional pattern where you have very strong holiday periods and then weaker in the trough on the off season when people aren't traveling quite at the same degree.
And I want to get to international travel, but let's focus on the U.S. a little bit because I'm sure you saw Miami Beach's break up with spring break campaign. Of course, they're really imposing harsher curfews, more drunk driving checkpoints, etc. Did that have any noticeable impact on travel to Miami over the past few weeks?
When we look at travel trends into Florida generally, they're very, very strong. So spring break always attracts people to warm weather, especially in the U.S. And multiple cities around Florida are at peak demand right now, including, Orlando to the two forts, Fort Myer, Fort Lauderdale, Pensacola, et cetera. South Beach and Miami Beach area have had a little bit of a hit, but really demand still looks reasonably good going into that market. And clearly they're trying to tamper misbehavior and things that go on in that area, especially from students coming in. But by and large, I think things remain relatively healthy across Florida.
All right, so good luck to that marketing campaign. Not sure if it has worked just yet. But let's talk about the impulse, the desire to travel, because coming out of the pandemic, a lot of people have said that that is basically revenge travel, that people have been pent up for several years and they've been wanting to get out and see the world. To your point, I mean, demand to Asia is quite healthy at this point. But do you see that revenge travel impulse fading anytime soon?
Well, I think that was absolutely a term we used coming out of 2022 into 2023, where consumers were throwing all caution to the wind, spending anything to go anywhere. Yeah, I think we've moved past that, especially here in the U.S. I think consumers are moving into a more traditional pattern, and they're planning a little more carefully, and they're looking for ways to ensure that they, really watch their budget, because obviously where things are from an economic perspective, people are watching their dollars. And so we're seeing more people come in and use coupons on our website or be more cautious in how they are planning out their travel, but they still want to travel and they're, going to take their vacations. That certainly remains a priority over physical goods.
Well, it's a good reminder, too, that even though the pace of inflation, the growth of inflation has slowed, of course, prices are still quite high. But I mean, looking abroad and the demand to travel overseas, you do have high prices. You also have ongoing hot wars in the world right now. And then you also have factors such as the Olympics coming up in Paris. What is the outlook for summer travel as it compares to maybe last year or the year before?
Well, I think the outlook is still relatively strong. Last year, U.S. consumers in particular wanted to go to Europe. In fact, they prioritized Europe over many of the prior destinations that people would go to over the summer, whether that would be Hawaii, Florida, et cetera. And so with the demand now still strong to Europe, it's even stronger to Asia. And many U.S. travelers are moving to some of the top markets in Asia, everything from, Phuket. They're going to Taipei, they're going to Bangkok, and Japan remains one of the top search destinations. In fact, Tokyo is one of the top destinations on the Priceline website right now in terms of interest outside of North America, which is unique because of the distance and the cost required to go there. But that's what consumers are looking for right now.
Really interesting dynamic there, that it's Asian travel demand that is picking up relative to Europe. But we opened, of course, this segment talking about Boeing. Boeing is the news of the day, and it's been the news of 2024, really kicking off with the Alaska Airlines incident in early January. Are you seeing any impact on booking or maybe behavior pattern changes when it comes to flyers trying to avoid Boeing planes?
Very little on that topic. In fact, as you saw with the TSA checkpoint data, travel is strong in terms of U.S. airlines and where consumers are moving across the country. In fact, on average, we've seen TSA data up about 6%. So over last year, so consumers are traveling at a high pace. Planes are full. Again, because capacity is constrained, we have more capacity than we did in 2019 and more than last year, but the airlines are successfully filling that. And so consumers don't have a lot of choice when it comes to being highly selective in terms of what aircraft they fly. And I think by and large, consumers are accepting that air travel is very, very safe and it's something that they're comfortable doing, especially when they want to get on a vacation.
Yeah, I think it's a specific type of person, of course, checking what type of plane they're actually flying on. But I want to ask you about some other news that we're learning about just today, and that is that the FAA, it's considering curbing new routes at United Airlines and also from flying its paying customers on newly delivered aircraft. Now, this is according to reporting, it's preliminary, but if that goes through, what impact could that have on domestic travel?
Well, I suppose it depends on the number of flights that's impacting. Again, we have supply is up over last year, and most airlines have more capacity in the air. And so when you have a number of new low-cost carriers, for example, Breeze Airways coming on board. In fact, they just joined Priceline's platform. We just announced this last week. They opened up on over 170 routes over the last year. And so with that kind of supply coming on board, it really helps to offset any potential challenges that we may find from capacity in other airlines.
Well, I appreciate your thinking there. And before I let you go, I do want to talk about AI. It's hard to have a conversation these days without talking about AI. I know that you've incorporated AI tools into your app. Have you seen any change in how people book through the chatbot versus traditional search?
Sure, we haven't seen a material change in the way people are booking, but they are asking a lot of questions to our chatbot. We announced Penny, our chatbot last year, driven by generative AI, and she's fielding thousands of questions a day from consumers as they move through their booking process. And so what it's proven to be is a very nice assistant or helper that just sits on the side and answers any question you might have. You're trying to book a hotel, you're going to a new destination, you don't know anything about the destination. Penny can quickly answer questions about your destination, about the hotel you've selected, even the rooms that you might stay in. And she can help apply coupons and discounts to your stay. So a very helpful utility from that perspective. In terms of changing the entire dynamic of how you book, consumers are still entering through the traditional format, which is, here's where I want to go, here's the dates I want to travel. But AI is a great tool to help uncover new destinations that you may not have considered. You hear about the top destinations, but there are many what are now termed as dupe destinations, which are very similar in nature to a top destination, but might cost less because they're not quite as sought after. So AI is very helpful in helping you find destinations that you otherwise would not have selected.